welcome back to Aging Well, a monthly production of Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services. I'm your host, Nathan Lamb. Our topic today is health and wellness for older adults, and we have a couple of really qualified expert folks in the studio today to talk about these topics with us. Shall we introduce ourselves?
Hi, I'm Jeannie Leiden. I'm the director of the Adult Family Care Program, also a nurse, and I will be a coach in the Diabetes Management Program.
Oh, excellent.
Hi, my name is Andrea Svartstrom. I'm a registered dietitian and I work at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services.
Oh, excellent. And we're actually going to start off with diet and nutrition to start. We're going to talk about malnutrition in older adults, which is one of your areas of expertise. So I guess to start out a little bit, malnutrition in older adults, is this a fairly prevalent issue?
Definitely is. I think it's a very important topic. I'm glad to have this opportunity to get more increased awareness about it. Malnutrition in the elderly is definitely growing with the increase in the aging population. So with that comes the increase in the prevalence of malnutrition. The body changes so much naturally with age, which puts older adults at greater risk. So it's even more important to be aware. It often goes undiagnosed and untreated and can lead to other health problems. So it's really important to get it diagnosed and treated early to prevent that from happening. Many people in the community or rehabs, nursing homes, are admitted to hospitals already malnourished, but like I said before, unfortunately it doesn't often get treated initially. So in hospitals, about 40% are malnourished. In rehab centers, they estimate about 50% are malnourished. In nursing homes, about 67% are malnourished or at risk of malnutrition, which is pretty high. And then in the community, it's about 38% are malnourished or at risk for malnutrition. So
I had no idea.
it's definitely out there and growing.
So what are some of the causes of this issue?
There's many causes. It can be a lot of, like I mentioned before, the physical changes that occur with the body with age, socioeconomic changes, environmental. So a lot of factors go into that. I do want to mention just malnutrition in general. What it is can be overnutrition or undernutrition. So taking in too much or too little of certain nutrients, protein, calories, vitamins and minerals that have an adverse effect on your body. So I think we often think about, you know, low weight, not eating enough, but can also be on the other end of doing too much of something or not enough of the right things, and that can have adverse effects on the body. So some of the causes that older adults deal with are low appetite, and there's different reasons for that we'll go through as well. Changes in the body's ability to process and absorb nutrients decreases with age. So that's another factor. Use of multiple medications. Many medications out there that can decrease appetite or inhibit absorption of certain nutrients, so that affects their nutrition status. Access to food, whether it be financially or physically, being able to access food, shop for food, prepare food, transportation to get food, so another factor. Changes, again, with the body with age is decreased sense of taste and smell, which can affect appetite as well. Poor oral health, difficulty chewing food, also has some limitations on what people can take in. Difficulty swallowing or dysphagia is another concern for older adults. Loss of vision or hearing, like being able to read or labels, see packages, open packages, just hands-on with the food. And then physical function, reduced physical function. So again, mobility, getting food, preparing food, so just less able to access that food again. Depression, and then different chronic diseases, social isolation. I could keep going, there's very many. So
there's a lot of causes. I want to go back to something you said in there that was kind of interesting. You said you think of somebody who's has a low body weight, and that's what I think of when I think of malnourished. But you also indicated that you can be receiving a lot of food, I think, and being malnourished. So can you be obese and malnourished?
Absolutely, yep. So that's the other end of it. You can definitely be obese or overweight and still be malnourished. You're just not taking in the right amounts or types of foods to nourish your body well. You might be eating all sugars or the wrong types of foods, too much of that, and you're missing out on the important nutrients that your body needs. Because especially with aging and those changes, you do need more of certain nutrients, like protein and folate and different vitamins and calcium, vitamin D, that you do need more of with age. And if you're not getting those right nutrients, regardless of your weight, you can still be malnourished.
It's interesting. So it's quality. In some ways, it's quality instead of quantity.
Exactly.
And I kind of had a misconception there because I thought it was more of a quantity.
Yeah. So weight isn't always the only factor to look at.
So there's a lot of different factors. What are some ways that you can ID those who are at risk? Say you're somebody who's concerned about somebody else.
Yeah, there's definitely some signs to look for if people are malnourished or at risk for being malnourished. We did talk about weight. Yeah, being low weight is definitely one. It's involuntary, unintentional weight loss. It's not somebody trying to lose weight on purpose, but if they lose weight unintentionally over a certain amount over time, it's usually about 10% over 6 months or 5% of your body weight in 1 month. So if someone's like 150 pounds, if they lose 7 to 8 pounds in 1 month unintentionally, that's a good sign that they're heading towards malnutrition. The body mass index, which is the BMI, if it's less than 18, which is a calculation we do to using height and weight to see if you're in a healthy weight range. So if you're low, that's another sign that we look at for malnutrition. Different chronic diseases they may have puts them at greater risk, whether it's renal, which is kidney disease, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, different diseases they're going through can put them at risk as well. As I mentioned before, needing more of certain nutrients. If they're not meeting that, they can be malnourished. If they're on a special diet due to those special, chronic diseases they have, it limits them and restrictions, so they might not be getting as much as well. Physical signs, loss of subcutaneous fat, which is like hollow temples, bags under the eyes, you can see the clavicle bone. So there's certain physical assessments that can be done as well. Loss of muscle and bone mass, and just like that low function, like mobility too.
Absolutely. So there's definitely signs. So you've mentioned some of the signs and the prevalence. What are some of the health outcomes of malnutrition?
As I mentioned, this often goes undiagnosed and untreated, which can lead to many other health consequences. It can affect your brain and like cognition. Well, again, the loss of lean muscle. If you're not getting enough protein and calories, you lose your muscle, which happens naturally with age, but it can happen a lot quicker and sooner and have a greater effect if not treated early. A low immune system, so you get sick more often, increased risk of infection. Poor wound healing is a really big sign too of poor nutrition too. So that's another one to look for. Increased hospital stays or frequent admissions to hospital is another concern that can happen if it's left untreated. And overall dependence on others, reduced quality of life, just overall can lead to a lot of other health consequences.
Absolutely. When it comes to preventing it, I suppose eating is one way that part of the equation, but what are some of the ways to prevent?
There's many ways. So we do have certain, diet definitely is the one thing, and meeting with the dietitian, or definitely discussing this with your doctor, primary care, but meeting with the dietitian as well, so the whole team can help support to treat this early and come up with dietary intervention and ways to increase calories, proteins, and vitamins and minerals to adequate amounts to prevent that further weight loss and help them regain their strength. We also have, at the agency ourselves, we have many supports in place to help people who are, having challenges with access to food. We have the home delivered meal program that we have at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services. So we provide meals delivered to the client, to the person's home. You can get a hot meal, frozen meal, cold supper meal, which comes with a sandwich. So a variety of options, and we also have special diet ones. So if you need like carb control for diabetics, we have a cardiac, heart healthy menu. We have what people who have kidney disease, we have one specific for their needs. We have different textures for people with the chewing and swallowing difficulties, like I mentioned. So like a pureed ground.
And also, your position at the agency is very much involved with helping people with malnutrition. That's definitely something I want to feature in our next segment.
And so that's what I do as the registered dietitian. I do in-home nutrition counseling. So that's another option available as well.
Absolutely.
We also have congregate lunch centers, because I mentioned like the social isolation is a big part of poor nutrition. So getting out and socializing, having a nice meal with a group and participating in different activities or exercises. So that option is there too. We have different locations throughout Somerville and Cambridge.
Oh, that's excellent.
And just one more thing that we have that really helps with people with poor appetite, not taking enough calories or protein, is we also provide Ensure nutrition drink supplements through our office at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services. So it's sold by the case, which is usually a better cost than purchasing it at the pharmacy. So we have the Ensure, we have Ensure Plus, and the Glucerna for diabetics.
Oh, that's excellent.
So there's a variety of different options to help people reduce the risk of malnutrition.
Oh, that's excellent. We'll talk a little bit more about that in our next segment.
Okay.
That's all for this segment of Aging Well. We'll be back in a moment.